the scapular plane. And that's a very important plane because that's the position in which your glenoid fossa actually faces. So it's a lot more comfortable for us to do movement in the scapular plane versus out in this very awkward coronal plane or straight sagittal plane movements. So when we move, and you think about yourself today as you're doing different activities, are you moving in the sagittal plane, out in the coronal plane, or are you doing most of your movement in the scapular plane? And that's because your glenoid fossas, they don't face forward like this, and they don't face out like this. They face out in the scapular plane like that. So when we test the serratus anterior, we're going to be testing it with the arm moving in that position. Now, in order to get the scapula to upwardly rotate, she has to raise her arm up. But I'm not caring about what's going on with her arm. I'm focusing on her scapula because that's what I'm testing. So I'm going to start with fair. And for fair, all I'm going to do is I'm going to find her inferior angle, and I'm very lightly going to palpate. I'm not going to interrupt. I just want her to bring her thumb up and move in that scapular plane, raise it up, and I'm just going to follow her scapula, and I see she has fair. She has full range of motion against gravity of that scapula upwardly rotating. So just went up, come back down. Again, one more time. For fair, I'm just going to palpate the scapula, especially down by that inferior angle. Raise it up again, Kim. Raise it up. And that's fair. Now, for good and normal, I'm going to keep her at about 120 degrees with her thumb up like this. And I'm going to take a hold of her scapula. And on the lateral border of her scapula, I'm going to take it while she's holding it in an upwardly rotated position. I'm going to take that scapula and I'm going to try to push it down like this. It's not going to move, hopefully. Hopefully she can hold it. But I'm going to try to take and push it down. I'm going to put about 75% of my resistance right here on the lateral border of the scapula. The other 25% is going to be here at the distal humerus. Okay, ready, Kim? Hold it there. Don't let me push you down. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And I try to grab hold of that scapula and push it down, applying about 25% of resistance here, pushing her down towards her side, her arm back down towards her side. And that would be for good or normal. I have to decide, was she able to take moderate resistance or was she able to take maximal resistance? Okay? Any questions so far? Any questions? What nerve is innervates the serratus anterior? It's a biggie.
5.
It's a biggie. Just take a try it. Throw it out there.
C5.
What is it?
C5.
We're not nerve root. I want to know what actual nerve.
Is it axillary?
Not axillary. Yes.
I have a cheat sheet, so it's long thoracic nerve.
Oh, okay. It is. That's correct. It's the long thoracic nerve.
But don't tell us you have a cheat sheet. We just think you're really smart.
Okay, so she goes up then for good and normal. I'm going to have her hold it about 120 degrees, and I'm going to have her hold that upwardly rotated position, and don't let me push you down. That would be for good and normal. Now, yes?
Finding resistance at the scapula or just at the humerus?
At the scapula. 75% of the resistance is on the lateral scapula. So her scapula is now in an upwardly rotated position. I have my thumb on the lateral border of her scapula, and I'm trying to push it down towards downward rotation, back to its resting position. 75 here, 25% of my resistance here.
So very lightly on my arm.
Yes, very lightly. Yes?
So when she's upwardly rotating in the scapular?
In the scapular plane? Yeah. But again, I'm not so concerned about what's happening here. My eyes are on her scapula. My hand is on her scapula. Hold it there, hold it there, hold it there. Now, what happens if I go to Kim and I say, okay, Kim, what we're going to have you do, I want to see if your scapula can move. I want you to raise your arm up over your head. She said, I can't raise it up over my head. The way that we test the scapula now is very different from how we did everything else. We do everything else. Scapula sort of stands alone in the muscle testing world. So what we do is we take the weight of the arm away for her. So she can't raise her arm up. But I'm not concerned concerned really about her arm. I'm concerned will her scapula upwardly rotate. So I get my fingers very lightly on her scapula. I take a hold of her distal forearm, because I'm going to take the weight of her arm, but I'm going to have to work with me. We're going to try it again. We're going to raise your arm up, try to reach up, reach up, reach up, reach up, reach up, reach up, reach up. And I'm looking to see, is that scapula, when I take the weight of her arm, when I raise her arm up, is that scapula abducting and upwardly rotating? I'm not applying any resistance. This is for poor. So for fair, we said fair was she would just take and raise her arm up, and I would watch her scapula upwardly rotate. But when I asked her to raise her arm up, she couldn't do it. This is, pretend she's a new patient now. She couldn't do it. So now what I need to do is I need to get in here and palpate, okay, very lightly. And we're gonna do this together again. We're gonna raise it up, raise it up, raise it up, raise it up. Wow, Kim, that's great. Because when I take the weight of your arm away, that scapula went right up. Now, what you'll find is if you have clients who have had strokes and they have paralysis, even when you take the weight of the arm away, the scapula stays down in that downwardly rotated rested position, often wings out. It doesn't go up, they're not able to do it. And so that would then be, they're not a poor, I would then palpate for trace. So the way I palpate for trace is, again, this is the serratus anterior. The serratus anterior comes off of the scapula on the lateral border. It'll come through on the lateral border, comes over to your ribs, your upper ribs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my hand in here. I'm going to take a hold of Kim's arm, and we're going to try this again together, Kim. Raise it up, raise it up, raise it up. We're going to work together. Come on, bring it up, try to hold it there. And during that time, as we're raising it up, I'm trying to palpate to see if I can feel any kind of contraction. Kim, I'm just going to have you turn this way so they can see. So again, I'm just going to get my hand right in here, right across the rib cage. Let's try to raise that up, Kim. Raise it up, raise it up, raise it up, raise it up. Try to hold it there, hold it there. Anything I can do to feel some kind of a contraction or feel flicker. And that would be for trace.